Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, with the rank 1 Terran in the world, the Frenchman from Team Liquid in the red. It's Clem, facing off against by far his greatest rival. Not the Protoss we deserve, but the one we need right now in the blue. A hero. In a best of 7 Terran versus Protoss finals to the newest Monday Night Weekly Cup. And before we get started, it'd be incredible if you could smash that like button. Maybe even subscribe. Help me kind of the algorithm, and you know what we have. 1,820 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know why I'd do anything else with my life, but thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Then the first probes as the Reaper comes in, and we'll scout the least subtle Stargate that hero could ever build. He knew the Reaper was coming across, he knew he'd get into the base, and he knew that, well, he didn't care. Alright? Hero's very much a show and don't tell, and not just because Protoss don't have mouths, but instead because I'm not even convinced that he knows where he's going when he starts the build. But really, it's about the journey, and we'll see if we make it there, and ideally back again. The Stalker gonna freak everyone out by just patrolling down the front. Now, you could make the argument like, well, technically when you're on patrol, that means you don't have to accelerate from a standing location, but, I think he just does it to annoy the observers, alright? I'm convinced. Did you know this tournament starts at 2 a.m. Korean time? Fun fact, this is hosted mostly for the European server, but Hero... I don't know if Protoss sleep. Since they're plants, this is lore accurate. As you know, Solarite sustains them, just like plants. Alright, another point in that category. I'm just saying, but it doesn't matter. Just really covering for his greatest frenemy, Dark. Come back to us, Dark. Maybe in a few months. That... Oh, okay. But, so that means he either woke up or stayed up for several hours to get through this entire tournament to the finals. He does it on a weekly basis. And now we're here. So, this is either sleep-deprived or inspired hero. But, that's never stopped him before, and in fact, it might be a buff of some kind. Yeah, sure, Twilight counts. So the Reaper gets back in, gets a probe. The other probe pushes the Stalker out of the way, and the Stalker says, you know what? I didn't want to defend you anyways. Which, was kind of rude and is certainly not going to help the economy. Clem has a Cyclone ready to deal with the Oracle. There's an SCV. Scouting, I guess, mostly for pylons, maybe? But no, there's a third base already. As... I was wondering if I missed anything, and I think Clem's doing the same, but no, Hero just... If you don't know what you're doing, how can your opponent? Clem is kind of hedging his bets. The Terran, while there might be different roads, you're probably taking it the same direction when it comes to Terran versus Protoss, especially. It might be a Widow Mine drop, or a Hellion run-by, or just Marines and Marauders to start, but you're probably going to end up somewhere like this. You've got your 3 racks, Stim, and Combat Shield. No Engineering Bay for +1 on the way, but Medivacs behind, in some sort of timing, ideally to put the pressure on. Whereas Protoss, on the other hand, usually starts almost exactly the same way. Hero with a little bit of an exception here, but it's Blink into a whole variety. Though eventually you end up at whatever amount of splash damage you can put together in a whole bunch of charge lots. But it's interesting how the tech tree kind of converges for Terran in a very similar unit composition, where it diverges for Protoss, sometimes in a whole bunch of different directions. But we're finding ourselves at that place in the early mid-game here relatively quickly, as barely anything has happened. The bunker has been completely abandoned, which means Hero's just going to walk up at literally the perfect timing to snipe it off. Doesn't quite get the Marauder. Gonna stress it out a lot, though. Just one Stalker shot away from one-shotting it. But you may be overstaying his welcome, which is impossible not to, since, of course, the Protoss are never welcome where the Terrans are involved. They have some prejudices they have to work out. Gets a Marauder, though. The Hubris. There is a Stasis. We'll see if Clem notices the shimmer here. The Oracle with the Revelation. And, well, we're going to the Clem cam. Did he spot it? He had to see it there, right? He's not triggering it. Oh, he does. I think he actually just sniped it. Okay. Or it timed out, either way. Stasis doesn't last particularly long, but That is just Stalkers. There's a couple Stasis Wards, but they can be taken out from outside of the range. Another one will be targeted as well, and it's just Stalkers again, but the Widow Mines, he's gonna drag the Suicide Oracle over the top, and that might be enough to break the back of the critical mass here. A couple Stalkers targeted, he abandons the sentry, blinks right out. And Hero, he took a very bold third base, and now he's underlining it with a whole bunch of gateway units behind. There's no other tech, he just started the Robo, so he's entirely reliant on this gateway army, but with the Marines and Marauders in autumn colors, it's becoming less and less likely he could actually deal with this many. See, so many Stalkers. 16 Stalkers, which Hero's so good at keeping the knife to the throat of his opponent. And also himself. Everybody's real up close and personal. Never letting the medevacs have time to regen energy. Oftentimes not even letting them regen the health of the bio army. He was forced to back off for a few seconds as Clem retreated to the high ground. But remember, behind this Hero has more economy. Though the upgrades are a bit of a mixed bag. The Guardian Shield gonna help out a lot. Targeting down more. The Cyclone gets into the fray. Another sentry abandoned, which seems to be their lot in life. A short one. Meanwhile, during all of this, a fourth Nexus is on the way. Sorry, I'm not allowed to say that, apparently. Gonna get canceled. No. Like and subscribe. Warp Prism. Try to keep the pressure on. Shard lots over to the right flank. We've seen Heroes Zerg-like Protoss consistently keep Clem from ever being able to execute on that multi-pronged Terran style. The sheer level of aggression and near-perfect micro. Yes, sometimes he makes big mistakes, but most of the time he's making plays that Shakespeare would feel a little stressed out about. So, a second robotics facility as well as the Robo Bay on the way. A Warp Prism slurps up some charge lots and can warp in, obviously, at least another round. Hero maintains an even supply against the Terran, which is actually kind of rare at this stage of the game, as Terran production on 3 bases usually outstrips the Protoss, who has to add a whole lot of infrastructure, whereas the Terrans are pretty focused on the Marines and Marauders. But the Vikings already in position, anticipating the Prism, knocks it down, but 4 charge lots are still enough to deal with this. Meanwhile, Clem obviously looking the other way. The charge lots are able to charge up before he stutter steps back. The sentry has had enough and is just a conscientious objector here. And Hero, he kills 10 SCVs, though that was far from the most efficient trade. He doesn't need an efficient trade, though. A trade at all is kind of advantageous, especially because by the time Clem is able to stabilize and come across the map, Hero's going to have 2 Colossi, and very soon his thermal lances are going to be extended as mine. And the 4th Nexus is mining, and even though he doesn't have that many probes, that helps a lot with the efficiency, as having the probes spread out. Well, ignore the seismograph of mule drops here, but it's better to have more bases and around the same amount of workers, as your workers are more efficient, especially when the main base starts mining out. And, of course, all of them behind it. Clem just now getting an armory to unlock those +2 upgrades and probably ship weapons, which becomes more and more relevant as time goes on, as you simply can't cut it on the ground. The charge lots are a whole lot to deal with, but the Colossi are another magnitude entirely. And if you don't have the Vikings, and then later on, things like Liberators, you're treading in dangerous waters there, and Hero will drown you, one way or another. The Colossi are spotted. Now, Clem was not building Vikings just for the Warp Prism, but instead anticipating this switch for quite a while now. The 4 Colossi, ready to move forward. The chart, he just kind of ignores it, and then just goes straight forward. A single Marine over to the right side. There's some proxy pylons, the Colossi, natural predator of supply depots. Meanwhile, the Vikings over the top, but he just blunks, but the Colossi! What are you doing? Ah! Easily distracted. Refineries, their favorite meal. Another snack. The depot as well. And this is part of why, well, both to wall off against the charge lots and to distract the Colossi, serving a dual purpose here. But you see, the sheer range on them makes it difficult for them to consider anything nearby threats. Just a very quick explanation is that units usually have a threat radius that is slightly longer than the range of their attack. The Colossi are so far back, though, that the Marines and Marauders are so far forward that they get distracted. But not for now. The Colossi not being knocked down quickly enough to save more than almost 24 SCVs. They will be toppled, but the medevacs are out of energy, many of them out of life, the Vikings knocked down, and the Marines and Marauders are so badly bruised that Clem can't carry this advantage across the map. Hero, maybe the only player in the world who can lose 4 Colossi almost instantly in a fight and say, yeah, that was a win right there. As the tie goes to the leader. If the battle is about even, whoever has the better economy and tech is ahead. And right now, Hero has 2-1 upgrades. He's building disruptors. He's losing disruptors. But, you know, it was fun while it lasted. About half a second. Don't be jealous. But the Marines and Marauders can never stabilize enough. The starport time is absolutely precious. Clem is making 4 more medevacs at a time because these medevacs don't have enough energy. It's not like he got feedbacked or EMP'd from some stray shot. He literally does not have enough energy on his medevacs to heal the stims, let alone any damage from the enemy army. Clem spots the observer and knocks it out with a widow mine awkwardly. There's another observer, though, spotting some of the reinforcements in movement, and that's the one that really matters, and is allowing Hero to keep a very careful note of exactly what Clem is doing. Hero has 82 probes. He's got 2-2 upgrades. He's building more disruptors. He's just given up on the Colossi. Disruptors have a very rough working relationship with Zealots because disruptors can one-shot any Protoss gateway unit. We're not including Archons here, but whereas they can only one-shot Marines, it takes 2 for the rest of the bio. He fires off a fadeaway shot. Clem, just completely empty. But wait, he gets a Marauder. 2 for 1. Not, I mean, technically it was a kill, so that's something. They're recharging. It's rare to see disruptors too often get multiple shots, but he's gonna chase down. And the disruptors existing is forcing this army back more than the charge bots themselves, but he fires off another shot. What a split. I can't believe it's not butter. Meanwhile, the disruptors just continue flinging out the most dangerous force fields. Another one. Can I get another one? Whoa, he leans into that one. Gonna try to chase. But he has enough disruptors to just continue the cadence of fire and force him to either chase or eat a shot or 2 in order to engage. But Hero is maxed out. 118 supply. 2-2 against 2-1 upgrades. EMP over everything. Stutter stepping back. The Vikings on the ground. In awkward positioning, he fires off a double barrel shot. One onto the Vikings, one onto the bio. Another follow-up. The volley connects on some Marines. Yet another. The fusillade continues. Another shot. A ghost eats the brunt of it. But overall, Clem, that's every shot they're on cooldown, and Clem can see it. Those cores have yet to recharge. And now the production on either side. We got a fusion core on the way. We've got a dark shrine for Hero. Clem has been mining quite comfortably from his 4th base, despite the stress on the front line. But here come the Liberators. The Stalkers will target them. Another volley just comes right down the center. The charge bots are zoning out. Some more slicing through the SCVs. He follows through, but the charge bots are falling away. Some Vikings taking the brunt of this. One more shot for the road, and Hero has managed to lose 60 supply in a single fight. Clem killed 17 Zealots, and Hero killed 5 in that engagement. Of course, there was a laundry list of other... A sentry! Why are you here? Another sentry wanders in from unknowable places. Meanwhile, the mini-map, Hero has expanded to... Yes. As Nexi relatively cheap compared to the... Are you going to try a disruptor drop against someone who's been building 20 Vikings? And somehow the Warp Prism will survive it. You still have to actually land the shot. It's not a guarantee by any means. But with 8 disruptors to slam those energy balls right into Clem's face, things could get real spicy real fast here. The Liberators, though, with a Venn diagram of freedom, overlapping the ramp. And if Clem stabilizes with advanced ballistics, is he going to try to chip down the refinery? Another one. He's playing... keep away here, but Clem has finally found it. But the next side themselves, Hero. He knows what he's about, and he gets into the main base. The problem is Hero's suffering from success right now. Okay, he lost some units. Good for him. That means he can warp in. Maybe some DTs as well. But he lost 9 probes alongside the Nexus in the top right corner. And he's gonna try a warp, but he was a little bit late on it, though, and it gets canceled by the Vikings. Knocking it down in the main. But again, Clem... So, the Colossi found a depot, so of course, here we are. Tasty. The Colossi reaching over the top of the moat, but the Liberators doing so as well. The armies collapsing on one another. The Liberators keeping everything at bay. The Disruptors attempting to do the same. But Hero is one mediocre fight away from total disaster. Of course, Clem is the same, but his army is becoming harder and harder to beat. The Disruptors, though, gets a chunk. There's just so many of them. It's hard to miss. Hero expanding like the medium difficulty AI, which may be where he gets some of his inspiration. I almost said expiration, which somehow might have been accurate, but the Well, here we go. Liberation is at hand, but the charge lots are in the natural. Clem's got some tough decisions to make soon. Does he go forward? Or does he go back? Because either way, he's gonna take damage. But can he do enough in trade? The Liberators moving forward. The Zealots continue piling in. The Colossi at an awkward spot, but the main base is under attack as well. Hero keeps streaming in, half a dozen charge lots at a time. And Clem, in full retreat. He can't go forward because Hero is everywhere all of the time. There's a Stalker that blinked over into the center base. Disruptors over the top. The Liberators may lock down this entire screen of the map, but believe it or not, there's more where that came from. Another dozen SCVs dead. There's a charge lot slicing at a depot. This Stalker has 3 SCV kills and is slowly gathering more. They're really bad at killing SCVs, but, you know, you work with what you have. And he's gonna slam into the army before the Liberators concede. A Disruptor shot eats a chunk, and Clem will be forced to split from another. Hero with 3,000 minerals in the bank and almost no gas, which, you know, makes sense in the grand scheme of things. If it gets down to it, though, you need gas for Stalkers, all right? They're DTs slicing through and uninstalling the add-ons. DT Blink is on the way. He might have thought he had it already. The Disruptors are continuing to corral Clem's units. He gets on the wrong side of one of the Liberators, or the right one, depending on who you're rooting for. Another DT EMP'd. How many? There's 4 orbital commands, which isn't quite enough. More charge lots streaming into the 4th base, and the onslaught continues. Another broadside. He fires off in tandem 2 Disruptor shots. And even if they don't connect with the army, they keep it busy for long enough. 43 SCVs dead. 23 remain. Clem is nearly maxed out with nowhere to go. Hero has taken well over half the map. He's been mining over 2,000 more minerals a minute. Well, also some gas, but I think mostly minerals at this stage. And slamming more of the Disruptors home. But Clem still has the army to beat. 1 Disruptor shot at a time is eating into the Terrans. That Ghost incredibly dead. Finally cleans up some of the charge lots, but there's a Nexus, though it's not mining. This has been spotted for a while, but Clem just simply hasn't been able to deal with it. There's just not enough. Hero is everywhere. He gets an orbital command, and everyone makes it harder to deal with the Dark Templar that are trickling in. Another Liberator, another set of Ghosts. Disruptor shots landing one by one. And when one lands, it makes the rest more likely, as Clem is more stressed and more required to get damage done. But he's stutter-stepping past. The Disruptors targeted one by one, and every single one of them is popped. Hero manages to lose the fight, and Clem still has a massive army supply advantage. Hero doesn't really have enough gas to add much more anti-air, though the Liberator count has been reduced to 7. He can warp in from the closed pylon here. He's going to engage directly into the Stalkers. The Liberators will cede. Vikings hit the deck. Colossi are in production again, as the Disruptors have not managed to win the day on their own. The fadeaway shots, the probes transferring to the closest base, which is awkwardly towards Clem's army. 15 probes dead, and Hero may have successfully navigated the gaping chasm of victory and run directly into the brick wall of defeat. But it's not over yet for either side. Clem barely with more SCVs than he started with, He's struggling to mine. There's 3 orbital commands, another one on the way, but one of them's literally up in the air right now. Stutter stepping a Marine and Marauder against a half-dozen charge lots. Hero still has the income advantage. He's still able to refill, but he's lost all but 2 of his how many disruptors? He lost 14 disruptors, 6 colossi, 215 zealots. But Clem has not been able to maintain enough income to refill. He's bleeding out. And the reinforcements are cut off as Hero abandons the 3rd or 4th Nexus in a row in order to make sure that Clem is unable to reinforce the army. The Colossi, it's all coming together. A Liberator on the main base ramp, that's not going to be enough. He blinks into the main, knocks another sentry, dies. How many? 6 sentries, and I think they've all died in conspicuous and sad ways. So, and meanwhile, the Colossi engaging their favorite targets, mostly barracks and supply depots. Disruptor zoning out of the ramp. There's one more shot in reserve. He tries to target, he gets it in time. He's gonna clean up the Stalkers. The Stalkers to the end. A recall, okay. Several of these Stalkers will survive. Recalls, he rebuilt this base. Hero reaches into that seemingly infinite bank, though we know it isn't. But Clem is down to 8 SCVs! The orbital command in the air and knocked into the unit's loss tab. Clem, 500 actions per minute. And not nearly enough to keep up with Hero's windmilling Protoss, his flurry of attacks, his drunken brawler, Forrest Gumpian style. Probes continue to transfer to bases that they are immediately dying, but charge lots and Stalkers are cutting off the reinforcements, though Clem still has more army supply. A Liberator actually killed 8 more probes. Hero up 30 supply, but it's entirely in probes. Another clutch of charge lots, another wave of units. This is a planetary he's falling back to. Much of Clem's supply is in medevacs, which isn't necessarily bad. There's no more splash damage. We're back where we started in terms of tech. Beaten back down to Marines and Marauders with the Ghosts kind of add on to it. But more Marauders cut off, and Hero is still mining. He's still got the income lead. The Stalkers come around the corner, and Clem unceremoniously leaves the game. $237 zealots, 16 disruptors, 8 colossi, 6 nexi. He slaughtered 114 SCVs, 147 Marines, 79 Marauders. Hero with the barrage of attacks, always towing the thin line between bravery and stupidity. The blurry pool between genius and insanity. The overlapping Venn diagram of confusion and strength. And other profound things, but let's see if he can keep it up. Clem clearly not happy about it. Hero sending a probe out at the 0-second mark, which is always an interesting move, to say the very... Where are you going? Yeah, sure, why not? Let's throw that one out there. That's definitely, of all the places to put your first pylon, that's certainly one of them. It is this a Max Pax build? Clem just builds his barracks off to the side to keep the... So, the probe... He knows Clem is tilted. He's gonna try to flip the table entirely. It's... I don't know how he's so consistent with it. It's madness. Like... Every other Protoss that tries this style, the majority of the time, like, it's not 50-50. With Hero, it's, like, 3-1 that he's successful. But Other Protoss that try this style will think too hard. They'll be like, oh, I lost a fight, I have to rebuild. Hero's like, no, we fight again now. Now! We're fighting! It's like, you don't actually, you have 6 charge lots and a sentry. Send the sentry! I don't know. This is straight up a Max Pax build. Hero has actually outstripped Max Pax for the barbed crown of Protoss madness, but Max Pax discovering originally that the Max Pax build was just proxying, though usually not like this, usually it's closer to the base, a gateway in a random, well, not a random corner. I keep putting asterisks on this, but the Reaper's gonna find the Zealot, by the way, which is hilarious. So just one gate expand, except the gate is much like Protoss with their proxy racks, just part of the macro build. So we had first a Zealot, but have we had second Zealot? The probe does not have a kill, but it's working on the reactor, which could be relevant here. The Reaper, he's playing crouching Zealot, hidden Reaper in the trees. The Zealot and the probe tag teaming, and the Star. Okay. Oh no! Oh no, we built a reactor. I mean, yes, obviously, but like, that means there's no Marines for the bunker. That means SCVs will die. The probe being targeted first. The Stalker just taking its pick of the SCVs here. The Widow Mine should keep this. Okay. And Hero's just expanding. Like, this is a macaroni and cheese. Yeah, sure. Why not? I love how he found the Zealot. Like, the first probe was suspicious. I think the Reaper was just hunting for the probe. Because the Reaper hunt, especially when the probe's that early, you don't want it to be a constant annoyance. But in that it finds a Zealot. Like, okay. Which would have seemed like a lucky break until the second Zealot came in. And I truly think that Hero is ahead now. Through all the fire and fury, which has been not too many units, but enough to certainly throw the game sideways. Hero has successfully, once again, dragged the game to his level. I don't know if that's up, down, sideways, or dimensionally confusing, but... And is going to try to beat Clem with experience. Because Clem is nothing if not precise. Like, that is, honestly, he's so good at executing. His macros, multitasking. Except, none of those apply. Hero requires them not... That the Zealot actually spotted this moving out, or it's just patrolling. Well, the Hallucinated Phoenix definitely did it. The Zealot didn't. It's just a Zealot. He spotted this before, yes, yes. He's gonna try to take out the pylon. Hero does have Blink on the way. He has just one more gate. He has a grand total of 1 gate after this is taken down. There are more finishing back at home. The Zealot is cleaned up. I think it cut down a Marine or 2. Hero... Of course he is. And Clem's turning around. Oh, Hero fully committed to the counterattack. He does have recall available. Blink is almost done. And this is going to work out perfectly for Hero. Oh, wait, there's a tank on the high ground. Never mind. This is going to work out in some fashion for Hero. Blink's on the tank. And the depot being down actually gives him more space to work with. He's just going to get through, murder some SCVs, slide out, and recall. I'm out of there. Loses 1 stock. Oh, but he's back. Oh, how perfect. Oh, my. He gets one of the Widow Mines. And... wow. I love it when a plan comes together. Hero. How does it... The Forrest Gumpian school of Protoss. With your spirit guide, Hero. He not only perfectly times the run-by in order to maximize the Stalkers and minimize risk, but the recall comes in right as the Widow Mine drop does, in this perfect confluence of offense and defense, minimizing Clem's potential aggression while maximizing his own. there's still the Widow Mine in the medevac at the back. And it is a bit... It's actually 1 or 2 stalker shots away from death. So... Ah, yes, another sacrificial sentry is... No, don't go in there. Are you insane? Oh, that was a... Oh, my. Oh, yeah, the force field on the ramp. You show him. You got him. Whoa, that was a disaster. Hero? That's not right. Yeah, that's more like it. He did get a tank, I guess, but 5 stalkers dead. The probe. The stalkers looking to intercept the medevac. Auto turret gets a couple more. Raven slides by, but Hero's still hunting. Stalking, if you would. The Raven, nevermore. Medevac trying to fly to the next map. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. A Dark Shrine! At the most random of timings. He has charge, he has blink, and you would think, like, well, the next step is usually your splash damage. Your Robo for Robo Bay, or your Templar Archives for Archons. Or, more likely, Storm. But the hero just slaps down a Dark Shrine. Because, you know, he's feeling it, alright? A vibes-based Protoss. I truly think, I do think that's true, though. Like, he just, it's instinct. More than any sort of plan. Because that flexibility allows him to contort himself in both exciting and confusing ways. But Clem has put together a deadly army. He's got siege tanks. He's got the boys! He's taking down the rocks here, which, well, is going to open up some space. He doesn't want a single force field to actually cut this off. So, but the Dark Shrine is going to be quite a quandary. Is he going to warp in DTs to try to help break this? The DTs be the saviors? Because right now, Clem has more than enough to easily bash this down. He warps in 3 Dark Templar. Quite a commitment, but if he gets even a couple tanks here... Oh, he's gonna get one. The DTs a scan, but the second Dark... And they get the tanks! And more DTs at the front! And there's likely not very many scans! The random Dark Shrine. Such a massive gamble. And so far, well, it's unclear whether it's paid off. Hero does have a 4th base, whereas Clem sent all the SCVs from his 2nd. The scans. He doesn't have a scan for a few more seconds. He's gonna have it in a moment. Another DT comes in. The probes are pulled off the line. The workers suffer the most in these fights, as always. But the scans will run out. The question. Oh, Clem has a, oh my. A Dark Templar is warped in. The probes are being slaughtered, gunned down. Couple dozen at a time. But the turret on the low ground, he scans anyways. And Hero is starting to cut off the reinforcements. The charge lot's helping a lot, +1 attack on either side. The numbers have thinned out to the point that Hero might be able to dismantle this. As the Blink Stalkers still mostly in full repair, what's left of them, he repowers some of the gates. And he does have another Nexus still building to the north. The Marines and Marauders down to single digits between them, maybe 1 unit of HP. The Stalkers blinking them down 1 by 1. The reinforcements on the way knocks another medevac out of the sky, but not the one full of units. And Clem, what a brutal fight for both sides. Clem destroying way more units, way more resources, but Hero had more to give. The Nexus holds. The one to the north, I think he canceled. Hero has a 10-worker lead, but the army supply and the unit composition still in favor. The thing is, the Dark Templar existing at all. The reshield here, he actually built a Raven to deal with this. Clem, wow. Actually using the Raven will help deal with the DTs, but the Stalker's still doing plenty of damage behind, Stutter stepping back, slicing through. The charge lot's not enough. The Stalkers blinking into the 3rd. There's no shield battery here, but the charge lots are coming in again. And still, oh, snipes off another Marauder. He saves one. What a save out of Clem. Microing every unit for all it's worth, and then even more. The probes being targeted down. The Raven taking some hits. If he takes it out, the scans are few and far between. The Marines and Marauders, not so hefty either. And the charge lots of the probes are coming off the line again. He might be able to chase. Don't expect one of us in the wreckage, brother. A Marine left behind. And Clem is forced to retreat as Hero somehow holds. The Raven! Ah! So close, yet he's gonna lose it. Throws out a spiteful auto turret. Clem getting a little greedy, and now the Dark Templar! The, liability and the savior so far. This game is obscenely close. Alright. Right up until a full medevac of Marines and Marauders, but not quite. The Stalkers try to snipe it off, but Clem reacts just barely in time. 77 supply apiece. Hero with more probes, though, again. But a lot of the reinforcements for Clem are either in the production tab or on their way across the map, meaning this fight is still incredibly close. The Widow Mines not finding a great angle. Not hitting targets they really need to. But back at home, the charge lot's cutting off the reinforcements. The Widow Mine getting maximum damage, though. Like that, too. Still, though, the Stalker count is too damn high. Hero blunking forward with the Stalkers with full HP, trying to maximize their effect. And there's almost no units left over. GG! Hero turns it around. The Dark Templar. I'm not sure if they hurt or helped more. Like, if he had Archon... No. He's sniping off those tanks at the very beginning was the difference between victory and defeat. Everything else, a very exciting, very dramatic, and mostly a footnote. Though, obviously, the micro mattered. But if Hero doesn't take out those tanks that quickly, he loses. If he doesn't force Clem into getting detection and using scans instead of mules, he loses. If he doesn't... It's... But again, Hero threads the needle. Maybe he put himself in that position where he's like, instead of winning with charge lots or colossi, I have this piece of thread. Is this a metaphor? No! But 2-0. Hero again. An even closer game. But he never gives up. He never surrenders. So, on this map, we have a nice little indicator on where to put your pylon in order to wall off against Reapers. If you're a bitch. I don't know. And does Hero look like a... He charts his own course. Sometimes with finger paints. Sometimes... not at all, but... the casual Dark Shrine. Remember that game started with the Max Packs build. Not exactly how Max Packs... but the vibes were there. The random proxy gate into YOLO Blink Stalkers, into Dark Shrine, I guess, into yada 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 victory. I do think this does wall off against a Reaper, but I'm pretty sure, like 80%. So here's the thing. Now this doesn't even block the Reaper from jumping up. I get the logic if you're trying to set it up so there's a hard wall, which keeps the Reaper from jumping and means any tech you have over here doesn't get scouted. But this doesn't even... There's still the little foyer for the Reaper to jump up and take a look around. So... whatever. Not important. And clearly, who am I to argue with genius? Stargate. The Stargate was showcased in Game 1. Didn't have too much of an impact, but certainly sent the game into a... Again, like, the Stargate existing and the fact that Clem scouted it early was a big part of why the early game ended up tilting towards Hero. Because it offers more opportunities. There's always the chance, and it's not a small one. And honestly, the biggest reason you don't usually see a Stargate early is very simply if the Oracle flies over a Widow Mine, you probably just lose the game. Like, it doesn't immediately happen. But you just spent 150 gas on the Stargate and 150 gas on an Oracle to die to a 25 gas Widowmine. That still exists usually after the Oracle. So, if that happens, you are so far behind on things like Blink or, well, mostly Blink. It's mostly Blink, to be honest. Like, things exactly Blink. So, the Reaper, did it jump up the other way? No. Took this path. So, there are Widowmines. How many Widowmines in this picture? Just the one. The probe at the front. We fly right over it. Hero. I mean, that's an obvious one. You can see the indentation there. The Oracle lights up. And here... What a save! Clem saves the... Ah, the probe! No, it's too cute. I can't. I'm really surprised he didn't build a pylon under it. Oh, the SCV. The first pioneer in the new land of the natural. And Phoenixes. Oh, no! No! Heals him. Oracle didn't have quite enough energy to both turn on and do enough damage to kill it. I think it was at like 24, 25. Cyclone locks on. Oracle almost lackadaisically moves out of the... That's some peak hero micro right there. Yeah. Fool me once, and I definitely will get fooled again. There is a Widowmine in here. Based on Clem's movements, yeah, he spotted. So another Oracle will just kind of... Oh, he knows he's gonna die. So 2 Oracles died to a single Cyclone back to back, which seems like it should be bad for Hero. And it is. Like, that was a lot of... He just lost a whole lot of his early tech for very little return. Yes, mining time. But honestly, very minimal. Just random stalkers out there. He's going charge. He doesn't have any zealots, but, you know. Eventually we'll get there. Clem has his 3 racks, the factory, the starport behind. Reaper is still alive when I started that sentence. At least spots where some of the stalkers went. More probes being... Is he going to build like a proxy pylon or something out there? Probably. Does not, by very key point, does not have a 3rd. And a Dark Shrine! Sure. Trying to get that 100% completion rate on the Dark Shrine. Gotta get your achievements. A scan at the natural. We'll see Zealots warping in, which should give him an idea of what he's dealing with. So Clem, I don't think has... Wow, what a... Artosis would be... A pylon powering fully 5/8 of all the gateway production. He's warping in off the slow pylon, and Clem doesn't necessarily recognize that this is mass charge out here. Oh, there's the set. He might think it's Blink, and if he thinks it's Blink and moving out would be disastrous. Unfortunately, Stim is not done. A force field locks him in. The Widowmine's retargeted. Actually, great micro out of Clem, but without Stim. Well, these Marines and Marauders aren't taking this... Wow. Okay, never mind. Yeah. Without Stim, his Marines and Marauders can easily hold the line because there just wasn't that much damage out of Hero. Meanwhile, the Phoenix is doing its part. No one else is there to help it, though, and it's not really a single-player mission. And again, Hero is left with Dark Templar. He's warping in 4 DTs. His army is 1 Phoenix, soon to be 2 and less Stalkers, and 4 Dark Templar. He's warping in most of them on the other side, and comes like, are you kidding me right now? He has to turn around. He does have a scan momentarily. Does Clem see it? He's... There are 4 DTs. This is a huge... Oh, he used the scan! Oh, no! He just lost to DTs again! It's over. Like, this is too much damage already. He used his... Oh, build a Raven, Clem. It's too late. The damage is already done. Like, Hero has already made up for all the ground. He's building... The engineering bay wasn't even done. He could just slice the turrets. There's gonna be a... No, it's way too... It's already too much. Ooh. Hero. Down 25 supply. Takes the game. Clem. Oh. Ooh. Yeah, like, yeah. It works. The Dark Templar, again, 2 games in a row. And even worse this time because they clearly were the wrong choice. Which made them... Clem, absolutely, positively, no doubt in my mind, had Dark Templar completely out of his mind. Because why, like, a Stargate into DTs in like 2 minutes. Maybe a little more than that. But he lost 2 oracles. He did a failed charge lot timing. And you're telling me the DTs were warping in right as he came? Hero. No GG, of course. Honestly, that's the hero... That was the hero build that he does in the middle of series he's winning. That just loses most of the time. If you've ever watched Hero, which, if this is your first time, wow. But also, thank you. Like and subscribe. But for those well-versed in Hero's chronicles, Hero has a tendency to almost throw. And it feels intentional. Like, Hero's an entertainer, first and foremost. That's why he wakes up or plays it. He's literally playing this tournament at what had to be 4 or 5 a.m. Korean time. And that's probably not the first tournament. On Mondays, there's multiple tournaments, and Hero seems to play in all of them. But meanwhile, it's 7 p.m. Or 8 for Clem. But the probe hunting the SCV inside its own base. Oh my. But Hero... Honestly, I saw a comment that I liked, and I see all the comments, pretty much. It's just, I'm too lazy to respond to all the great comments because that's it, that's all I got. But I do enjoy it, thank you. Take this general heart as opposed to specific. But, the comments say, I'm starting to think Hero actually enjoys playing StarCraft. And you know, based on the way he plays, the fact he's willing to play it all, like, Hero, I don't know. Maybe he needs the few $100 from winning one of these weeklies. But he plays it so bad. They add up over time. But he has such a tendency to, especially when he's up 2 or even 3 games, do off the wall, almost random feeling builds. Not even builds that on paper are a good idea, but just throw it out there. We're gonna go Stargate into charge lots, into losing all your charge lots, into just hoping I win with DTs. Like, that's a ladder build. And, well, it still has a chance, but honestly probably works better against players like Clem because it's so clearly a dumb call that it rolled all the way around into being a game-winning one. But despite his best efforts, Hero's up 3-0. And Clem on the precipice of quite a crushing defeat. Clem, who over the last couple of years has a positive win rate against Cyril. But, well, not actually sure. I wasn't, to be honest, I was too busy pontificating in order to pay very close attention. But it looks like Hero just, oh, Clem's doing a, what is this? Why is this? Nothing's happened, yet Clem only has 20 SCVs and he's on one base? So, is he gonna pull the boys or something? Did he think Hero was doing some sort of crazy all-in? Which, you know, it's not a rare scenario. But Clem's already so far behind if he doesn't do critical damage here. Blink is not quite done yet. It's a siege tank, 10 marine, like, this is a lot of units, and Blink is still quite far off, and the Twilight Council is at the front here. As is the shield battery, so these sieges. Clem. Well, I mean, okay, so he's not gonna break this. I don't know. This is actually, wow. That is rough. That is just too many. He misread the build clearly. I think he was so busy countering whatever it was Hero was doing in the other games, but. Yeah, 6 Stalkers. Hero's gonna win this fight. And he's already 20 workers ahead. Wow. And just rage quits out. This was Clem just literally and figuratively giving up. It's frustrating. And for me too, because wow, that's like my ladder builds. It's like, oh, well, I guess this just completely failed horribly. Is there a chance? No. The tank isn't sieged. The shield battery still has energy. He can potentially recharge it as well. And Blink's going to be done in 10 seconds. I mean, you play it out, obviously. That's still a red card. Clem. But Hero, 4. Clem, 0. Which brings us to our very awkward anti-spoiler game. Clem versus Beyond. Clem is Protoss. Well, see if he learned anything. Though I think this game was actually played before this. But, so that... I don't know if Hero lost a unit that game. Maybe he did in that last fight, but... Your Protoss in the blue. We have Clem. And Beyond in the bottom right. Beyond, the 3rd ranked Terran player in the world. Clem, Maru, Beyond. Clem, arguably, the 2nd or 3rd best Protoss versus Terran player in the world. Hero, Max Pax, Clem. And honestly, it's debatable with Max Pax. Max Pax has not found as much success lately. Honestly, Protoss who don't have that sort of bleeding edge of insanity. I guess Classic can do well. The thing is, sometimes when Classic's not perfect, it falls apart. Whereas when Hero's not perfect, he wins 4-0. It's just, you know. Engineering Bay block from Beyond. I'm always interested to see how Clem responds to certain Terran strategies. Because, you know, who knows him better? Literally. And I do think that partially hurts him as Terran against Hero. I've talked about it before, but as a random player, I'm 1/3 Terran, 1/3 Protoss, 1/3 Zerg, and 1/3 Salt myself. You have a tendency to kind of project. It's part of the biggest advantage of playing random, and not to play random, but to play, like, all 3 races, is to understand the struggles and the strengths of the other races a lot better than if you're just looking from the outside in. But at the same time, when I'm playing, I find myself thinking, all right, so he should expand and tech up now, or something like that. Usually a little less binary, but... And then another, like, a bunch more Zerglings come across. It's like, what? That's so dumb. If I had just sat behind my wall, I would have been fine, but guess what? And I think that same issue applies for Clem against Hero. Where Clem's like, would you play like a normal person with a rational brain? And Hero's like... How did you say Dark Templar? Well, Clem dancing with that first adept, sneaking around the side, throwing shade. 2 adepts. Beyond, of course. Beyond, 3 racks on the way. So a very distinctly different style than we saw from Clem at all. Who favored the 1-1-1 every game, but did not find success in any of them. The 3 racks gives you a lot of punch right off the bat. But obviously, if things go poorly, you don't really have any sort of... Like, you are much less likely to do any economic damage to the Protoss. And you put yourself behind if they're able to defend the first attack and get splash damage. Like, Beyond is relying entirely on denying a third base and ideally carrying it through and winning the game, but that's kind of unlikely. But getting the advantage through sheer brute force as opposed to a more technical execution of like a Widowmine drop or Cloak Banshee or even a Raven. It doesn't even have a factory. This is all off 1 gas, all right? It's pricey nowadays. That Phoenix Scout. Meanwhile, Clem with the most standard staple. This is, like, I feel like Clem has a more standard Protoss than Hero. That's not even the competition, but this is the build that most Protoss use. 3-gate blink with a Robo, and then you take your third either after the first warp-in, unless you scout something like this. Like, against specifically Bio, delaying the third is probably the right call. But otherwise, if you're against something like Widowmine drop, you'd usually take your third either before or after the first warp-in, depending on how greedy you're feeling. But Blink is not quite done. The shield battery not quite done. Energy recharge. But things are coming together. You're going to try to target the sentry. Not going to happen. And so far, Clem, the Guardian Shield plus Blink. Stim's not done for Beyond, so it's actually... Jimmy. There's an Observer giving high ground vision. He's going to try to turn it maybe with Stim, but there's high ground vision for the Stalkers, so... And Stim is permanent damages. Medivacs are still a couple minutes out. He's just started the starport. Meanwhile, the Stalkers can chase him all the way across the map. No, has to be a little careful in blinking forward. Beyond, still with the high ground, but the Observer going to help provide vision. Might snipe it off here. Yep. Bit of a mistake. Got a Clem to leave it hanging right there, but... Oh, there it goes. Clem still dancing. The moment he steps even slightly down that ramp, like he steps a toe into vision, another Observer... Oh, Hallucinated Phoenix going to provide vision. As Clem just continues forward, keeping the pressure on. Targeting the bunker. The blinks are just immaculate. And Clem has... Well, with a textbook dismantling of the early bio push, he's successfully taken his third before Beyond has even started the third command center. And, wow, Beyond actually hard supply blocked. Has to drop a supply depot, which is far from ideal. There's already going to be Colossi by the time any follow-up arrives. And the fact that Beyond is building Medivacs as the Colossi come out means that Vikings are obviously a long way off. And Clem will maintain a significant advantage. Oh, that Observer does scan it. Was in surveillance mode where it doesn't need a scan for a moment, but... Charge is finishing up. The Medivacs will keep the bio together. And this is... one Colossus is not enough. But there's a lot more than the Colossus. It's got its posse of charge lots, several sentries with Guardian Shield available. The Stalkers get kind of cut apart, but beyond, gonna drop the base. And unfortunately abandons the rest of his units. Now, to become obvious, I think, to Clem, what's happening here, but kind of an awkward wall-off will allow Beyond maybe to get some damage done. The charge lots will chase the bio across the map. Marines and Marauders are more than enough. The probes are pulled out in front here, which is an awkward choice, but the bio on the high ground. Beyond, the charge lot's closing the distance, but there's not quite enough damage. And overall, Beyond, he's gonna take out a few... Well, Clem taking some inspiration, but he's gonna chase down the sentries. He's tearing them apart right now, but blinks down, goes for the second medevac, and there's not quite enough bio to deal with this. And what looked to be maybe a bit of a turnaround, Clem is eventually able to overrun, chase down, and knock out. And now, 2 Colossi, extended thermal lance about completed. Three medevacs were taken down. And remember that starport time is absolutely precious. There is no third command center. He's building a second starport on the reactor he built explicitly for it. But Clem is taking a 4th nexus as Beyond languishes on 2 bases. The triple drop in the main. He's gonna keep dropping the base until you either turn off the Spotify channel or he wins the game. Maybe both. Targets the Cyber Core, which, you know, is something, but there's already enough Stalkers to easily chase this down, and Beyond gets put into the corner. Another army, a recall onto the 3rd. With just the Colossi, Beyond's like, you know, actually, and the Marauders are getting roasted here, but not quickly enough. It was literally just Colossus, but the probes will save the day. He's gonna drop on top of the Colossus, and, well, the reinforcements running across is certainly not helping things. Another drop in the back. As Beyond... sloppy. It still ended up doing some damage, but I think it was maybe a bit too sloppy. 2 Marauders can actually, especially with medevacs, easily kill a Colossus, but rarely are they left on their own so regularly. Clem is up 20 supply. He's up 4 bases to 2, 20 workers ahead. The only thing really lacking are the upgrades, but Beyond does not have the resources nor the inclination to tech up any further. 1-1 is where he's peaked. 2 starports with reactors pumping out Vikings. He may pull the boys for one last dance, having ideally enough Vikings. There's no real economy. There's not going to be much of a home to go back to soon. How many Colossi? 2. He didn't even add a 3rd. So there is a... There he goes again. Beyond darts the medevacs towards the main. He can't help himself. The scan. I think he spotted a glimpse of the army. A scan in the main. The Colossi might get caught on the Reaper Cliff, which he didn't wall off, creating a bit of an awkward situation. So here we go. This is Beyond's best chance here. The Colossi stepping up, and he's actually going to knock him down, Clem! 1 Colossus toppled. Meanwhile, the army on the right side is chased down by charge lots. Some of the Marauders left behind in the main. The factory also kind of hanging out here like a bit of an eyesore. The Vikings, with nothing to fire at, will actually hit the deck and try to eat some of the charge lots. And going to help turn the tide of this fight. But Beyond is on borrowed time. He killed some probes, he got a Colossus, he's now landed a factory in the 3rd base. But, he does have the army supply, but Clem has the high ground. The Vikings will knock down the Colossus, but there's Archons in the mix now. The Vikings taken out before they can land. The army chopped to pieces, and Clem completes the sweep for Protoss today, including himself as Terran 4 times. And in a much more methodical, and I'll be 100% honest with you, more boring style. But Beyond clearly a step behind the speed Clem usually exhibits, which, you know, is problematic when Clem's on the other side of the story. Almost flailing his way into a good position, but it just wasn't good enough. So Hero with his typical, atypical Protoss shenanigans. And Clem with something a bit more of a staple, just to make sure you didn't know what was going to happen in those last couple games. But thank you for watching. I hope I made your day a little bit better. And if you got the means of motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon, YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing. It's still free, at least for now. So thank you to our Mule Tier patrons, bringing in those extra minerals. Big Jake, Deventor, Kate, Mario, Soup, and everyone. Glad you still enjoy. Make sure to check out this video. Jimmy picked it out just for you. And otherwise, I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. I hope I made your day just a little bit better. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.